They came in ships the size of cities, shimmering with anti-grav plating and crowned with weaponry that defied physics as Earth knew it. The sky cracked open like a fault line, and through it poured the Viekar Dominion, an alliance of alien races who had conquered entire solar systems before humanity even learned to split the atom. Earth's diplomats tried words. Earth's generals tried steel. The Viekar laughed. Micah Graves watched the war unfold from behind the long, black scope of his M93, a bolt-action relic from a bygone age. He watched as tanks turned to slag, as orbital defenses fizzled like firecrackers against Viekar shielding. They mocked Earth's weapons. Plasma fields shimmered blue and deflected rounds like soap bubbles catching rain. Their soldiers walked through gunfire without so much as a dent in their armor. Videos of Earth's failed counterattacks were shared across Viekar data networks, captioned in mocking script. Primitive resistance attempts fire ritual. Graves didn't laugh. He didn't mourn either. There wasn't time for either sentiment anymore. He sat alone in a scorched tree line outside the husk of what used to be Lexington, Kentucky. Blackened roots clawed at his boots, and his breath rose in silent clouds above the frost-bitten dirt. A scorched piece of metal stuck out of the ground beside him, part of a tank maybe. He used it as a rest for his rifle. Micah was older than most in the field. 37. Grizzled, lean, the sort of man whose silences spoke in full paragraph. He didn't carry medals. He carried memories, like the boy with the radio still playing a pop song when Graves found his remains. Like the squad that never returned from the ridge, their final words swallowed by static and pride. He had become a ghost before the aliens arrived. The invasion only gave him a new graveyard to haunt. His fingers were wrapped in gray tape, knuckles cracked from the cold. He adjusted the scope with surgical calm. In the distance, past the dying fog, a Viekar patrol skulked through the ruins. 10 of them, tall, reptilian, their segmented armor glowing faintly at the seams. They moved like dancers through smoke. Micah tracked the one in front. He didn't shoot. Not yet. This wasn't the objective. A voice crackled in his earpiece, soft and low, like someone whispering through gravel. "Whisperblade, this is Blackthorn. Do you copy?" He clicked his mic once. No voice needed. Whisperblade, that was him now. The Black Ops Command liked their drama. "Orders confirmed," the voice continued. "You are greenlit. Begin assessment." He exhaled slowly. The breath fogged his scope. He waited a beat, then lifted his head, wiped the lens clean, and adjusted again. The aliens were confident. Why shouldn't they be? Their plasma armor had deflected railgun rounds. Their sensors mapped entire city blocks in seconds. But arrogance always left a seam. Micah's mission wasn't to engage. Not directly. It was to test, probe, watch. Earth's top scientists had noted thermal blooms in the alien armor during high mobility. Possible heat ventilation points. Vulnerabilities, maybe, if a bullet found the right window. That's what they sent Graves for. Not just because he could shoot a flea off a dog's ear from half a mile out, but because he knew how to wait, how to learn. The army trained snipers to kill. But Graves, he hunted. 2 hours passed. A second patrol replaced the first. One of them, bigger, broader, paused in the open plaza where the courthouse used to stand. It raised its arm and activated a drone swarm. Tiny machines burst from its shoulder rig, fanned out over the ruins like angry bees. Micah didn't move. His camo netting was laced with anti-spectral mesh. His thermal print barely registered above the surrounding air. But still, the hairs on his arms stood up as the swarm passed overhead. Then, luck or fate, the officer turned and his armor flickered. There. Right at the base of the neck joint, where the armor segments met. The deflector shimmered briefly as if recalibrating. Micah froze. He tracked the shimmer back through his memory. He'd seen it before, in drone footage dismissed as static noise. But now he was certain. There was a moment, barely a heartbeat, where the shield reset when the wearer pivoted sharply. He took out a pencil, wrote something down in a tiny notebook. He never trusted electronics in the field. No digital trail. No ping. He drew the armor joint quickly, annotated it, underlined shield gap on rapid pivot 0.3s. His breath steadied. Micah had found it. A seam. A whisper of a chance. He remained in position as the patrol moved on. The sun dipped behind the gray clouds. His rations were untouched. Hunger would come later. For now, only purpose remained. His rifle was already adjusting, angles, curvature, wind shear. The next time they passed, he'd be ready. He didn't know if it would work, but he knew what it meant to make a myth bleed. The moment you made a god flinch, you reminded the world it was only ever wearing a mask. He clicked his mic once more. No words. Just readiness. Then he lowered the rifle, and waited for the wind to speak again. The first kill came silently. The alien officer had returned with the next patrol, oblivious to the fact that Micah Graves was still there, still waiting in the broken bones of Earth's resistance. The officer turned its head with that same sweeping motion, armor segments pivoting, and for a fraction of a second, the deflector shield stuttered. Micah's finger barely moved. The rifle kicked once, a soft thump in the cold air. 400 yards away, the officer stopped mid-stride. No explosion. No scream. Just a gentle slump, as if it had grown tired of the war and decided to lie down. The others didn't notice at first. They kept moving, their bootsteps crunching over glass and ash. When they did look back, it was confusion, not fear, that marked their faces. They checked their gear, scanned the sky, called for diagnostic. No answer. Their comrade lay still, face in the dust, the rear of his helmet barely marked by a pinprick. They poked the body, scanned for heat signatures, ran language strings through their battle net. Nothing. The shielding was intact, the armor unmarred, heart flatlined, brain dead. It didn't make sense. They didn't find Micah. They never would. He packed slowly, folding the netting over his gear, burying his footprints with the edge of his boot. The kill confirmed everything. The armor had a flaw, and now he knew how to find it. A sliver of space, a breath between protection and vulnerability, and he was the breath that filled it. The next shot came 2 days later. Another patrol. Different sector. Same mistake. The VA car troopers spread wide across a ruined parking structure, scanning for movement. One of them, leaner, perhaps an officer, paused, raised its weapon, turned right. Pivot. Flash. Micah didn't hesitate. The bullet sliced through the evening air like a whispered curse. Another silent fall. The others only noticed when the body stopped responding to command relays. This time, panic flickered. Within hours, VA car drones were deployed across a 3-mile radius. Camouflaged scouts began combing rooftop. They interrogated the local net, searching for thermal anomalies. They fired scattershots into empty buildings. But nothing moved. Nothing bled. Micah was already gone, crawling through mud and sewage like a shadow unmoored from its owner. He moved at night, slept during storms, ate in silence. Every shot counted. Every kill reinforced the illusion that death came from nowhere. No signature, no pattern, just inevitability. He kept a tally in his notebook, not of kills, but of what worked. Angles, impact timing, rate of armor flicker, wind direction, ammunition types. He learned them like a language, each kill a sentence in a story only he could write. And the VA car were listening. By the time the 10th officer died, they stopped broadcasting propaganda. Patrols began doubling up, armor adjusted with extra plating around the neck. Movement slowed. The swift grace of their conquest was replaced by hesitation. They were afraid. Back at command, Earth's military was skeptical. Some thought it coincidence. Some believed Micah was padding his reports. But the local units knew better. Wherever he passed, VA car pressure dropped. Skirmishes turned. Evacuation zones held. Whisperblade wasn't just a call sign now, it was becoming a legend. One night, buried beneath a hill of twisted steel and shattered concrete, Micah listened to their encrypted comms. His equipment filtered out the alien tongue, converting it into clipped, staticky English. What he heard wasn't strategy. It was fear. They fall without warning. No plasma trace. No energy weapon. As if fate strikes. They say it's cursed terrain. Some think it's a native god. Micah didn't smile, but something inside him steadied. He was breaking their minds before their bodies. That was the real war. He spent 3 nights stalking a command outpost near what used to be Cincinnati. The VA car had fortified it with energy barriers and stationed an elite squad at each corner. From a ridge 3 clicks out, Micah observed their routines, how the officers rotated, how the troops relaxed when the rain came. On the 4th night, lightning struck the horizon. Under its flickering light, he saw a commander emerge for a brief inspection. The alien was tall, regal even, with golden seams across its armor and a helmet that bristled with communication nodes. It stood for less than 5 seconds. That was enough. The shot threaded between wind gusts and rainfall, piercing the exact joint behind the skull. The alien dropped before thunder could finish roaring. Micah was already relocating, the sound of his movement lost beneath the storm. The next day, the VA car burned the forest in a 10-mile circle. They found nothing. Whispers turned into doctrine. VA car troopers began wearing talismans. Some refused to leave dropship. Elite units were reassigned to home sectors under the pretense of retraining, but Micah's intercepts told the truth. They feared him. Still, Micah knew fear wasn't enough. Not yet. The Dominion was vast. This was only one branch, one finger of a hand that had strangled dozens of civilizations. For real change, he needed a death that would echo, not in myth, but in strategy. A fracture at the core of their command. And the opportunity was coming. From the encrypted packets, he learned of a scheduled appearance. A high-ranking VA car strategist was visiting Earth's orbital base to supervise final phase operations. The alien's presence would rally the troops, realign morale, and crush the whisper of a sniper's myth. Unless he died first. Micah didn't write it down. He just circled the page where he'd written the word. Next. Then he flipped the notebook shut and began the long crawl toward the horizon. Micah waited in silence, wrapped in a blanket of dust and shadow, the Earth's edge just beginning to glow with morning. Above him, the VA car orbital command center loomed, an obsidian wedge hanging in the sky, tethered by energy columns to a ground installation carved into what used to be Mount Mitchell. The alien structure pulsed with faint light, rhythmic like breath, as if the whole building were a living, thinking thing. He had been here for 6 days. 6 days of no fire, no sound, no motion. He'd crawled through crevices and mountain hollows, through soil laced with radiation and ancient bones. Every inch of the terrain had been scanned 100 times by VA car tech, but they scanned for energy pulses, for thermal footprints, for signatures their war had taught them to expect. They didn't scan for a man who had left all that behind. Through his scope, Micah could see the platform now. The alien general, identified only through intercepted comms as A.R. Lockven, stepped into the dawn light. Tall, wrapped in armor forged from alloys that shimmered between blue and obsidian, he radiated presence. 2 bodyguards flanked him, weapons drawn, shields up. They moved with precision, trained to expect orbital bombardments and assassination drones. But not this. Micah had marked the platform's shielding cycle. Every 72 seconds, the field pulsed, a fraction of a moment when energy refocused inward. A.R. Locke's speech had begun on time, his voice magnified across the VA car lines, full of triumph and righteous fury. The speech was propaganda, meant to sow fear into Earth's remaining strongholds. The sniper didn't hear it. He was listening to the wind. It shifted slightly. He adjusted for it. 68 seconds. The breath before the gap. Micah had fired thousands of rounds in his life. None had felt like this one. As his fingers settled on the trigger, He felt the world narrow into a single vector. The weight of every fallen soldier behind him. The hope of a planet, desperate and bruised, curled into that chamber. He pulled. The bullet moved faster than sound but quieter than death. It slipped through the atmosphere, through the gap in the shield, and struck Airlock dead center, between the eyes. No burst. No fanfare. Just a twitch, a tremble, and then collapse. The bodyguards froze. Then chaos erupted. Sirens wailed. Barricades dropped. Fighters roared into the sky like angry insects, spiraling upward in a desperate attempt to locate the origin. Below, alien soldiers scrambled, scanning every ridge, every heat signature. They fired blindly into treelines, scorched cliffs, shattered caves. But Micah was already gone. He moved like a phantom into the stone, folding back into the terrain, a ripple vanishing on still water. In the hours that followed, the Viekar network fractured. The assassination sent shockwaves not just through their command hierarchy, but through the psychological scaffolding they had built over their troop. Airlock wasn't just a general. He was a symbol of the Dominion's invincibility. His death, clean, unexplained, precise, became a riddle too terrifying to solve. Within days, withdrawal orders began filtering down. Not official, not all at once, but rumors leaked into every rank. Earth wasn't worth the risk anymore. Their shield tech, unquestionable, infallible, had been compromised. The Dominion feared not war, but exposure. If Earth could find a flaw, others might too. In the forests near the Appalachian ruins, Micah sat beneath a cracked stone archway, cleaning his rifle with slow, practiced motions. He listened to the static chatter across abandoned frequencies, the panic tone of retreat, the staccato of disbelief. He didn't feel triumph. Not really. Only gravity. He had bought them time. Enough for someone else to take the next shot. His hand trembled, only slightly, as he closed the bolt. A soft beep pulsed from the analog transponder embedded in his sleeve, a reply from command. Mission accomplished. Full retreat confirmed. Await exfil or continue at discretion. He stared at the message, then switched the transponder off. There were still Viekar in the hills. Still officers who thought Earth was a mistake to be erased, not remembered. Micah leaned back, eyes scanning the sky. He didn't think about medals. He didn't care for celebrations. What mattered was that for the first time in this war, the enemy wasn't laughing. They were listening. And what they heard was silence. A silence shaped like a man. Somewhere far above, in the depths of space, other empires would study this war. They would read reports, decode transmissions, and ask how Earth, archaic, chaotic, human, had survived. They'd find no answer. Only a name written in battlefield myths, in hushed alien tongues and human whispers alike. Whisperblade. The one who made the gods bleed. The snow fell heavier now. Micah moved through it like a shadow dragged by the past. Each step was slow, calculated, not from fear, but preservation. His knees ached. His fingers stiffened against the rifle's cold metal, no longer the graceful instrument it once was but an extension of old bone and relentless memory. He had not left the mountains. Even as the Viekar retreated to the edge of orbit, even as Earth's surviving governments hailed victories in shattered capitals and promised reconstruction, he stayed. There were still loose ends. Remnant cells. Those who refused to admit defeat. The enemy had changed. No longer polished, organized. The stragglers were rogue commanders, war-hardened and bitter, clinging to Dominion pride like broken teeth. They didn't fight to conquer anymore. They fought to avenge. To kill Whisperblade. Micah read it in their comms, intercepted by makeshift arrays hidden beneath old rail tunnels. They spoke of him not as a man, but a blight. A flaw in their perfect invasion model. Some believed he was a weapon Earth had hidden, others a demon born from their own sins. The last theory amused him more than the rest. He came upon one of their makeshift bunkers during twilight, nestled in the ruins of a flooded town. The lake had risen since the bombs, swallowing homes and cars and entire streets in black water. The VA-car outpost clung to the surviving concrete like fungus, shielded by debris and ambient signal jammers. Micah lay prone for a full day, mapping movements, counting bodies. There were 6, possibly more inside. Not officers, but specialists, enough to kill a convoy, disrupt relief routes. Too small for a drone strike. Too dangerous to leave. He studied their routines. One emerged at regular intervals to scan the tree line, always with the same turn. Sharp, deliberate. That's where he waited. The shot cracked like winter-splitting stone. The body dropped. Not quietly, not this time. The rest spilled out, rifles ready, but they weren't organized. Fear bled into every motion. Micah circled low, like a wolf in mist. When they fired, they aimed at ghosts. When they fell, they never saw him. It took 22 minutes. Then the bunker was silent. Inside, he found a comms array still running. Flickering green. A direct channel to high orbit. He didn't speak, just listened. A message pulsed on repeat, translated into crude Earth languages. Whisperblade. We know you're listening. He leaned closer. You kill like wind, human. But even wind leaves footprints. You can't kill all of us. Not forever. Your resistance will become ash. The message loop. Micah unplugged the transmitter. He didn't believe in forever. Only in today. Still, the voice unsettled him. It wasn't rage. It was resolve. The VA-car weren't gone. They had recoiled, but not surrendered. Somewhere out there, behind the stars and smoke, they were recalibrating. Learning from him. Preparing the next wave, and this time, they would not underestimate Earth's shadows. That night, Micah sat alone by a fire too small to warm anything but memory. He read from his notebook, tracing old entries. Wind speeds. Armor weaknesses. Names of the fallen. Every mark a lesson. Every page a war. His hands trembled slightly as he turned the last page. Blank. Not because the war was over. Because a new one was coming. In the dark, his comms clicked softly, an encrypted message from command. Unconfirmed intel. VA-car outpost reactivating in Eurasian corridor. Stealth recon needed. Sniper preferred. Are you operational? He stared at the words for a long time. Then, slowly, he pulled a new pencil from his coat and began writing on the empty page.